Welcome back to the JumpifyLabs podcast, the show for founders who want growth without the guesswork. Here we mix data, AI, and real talk around the systems that drive predictable growth. And today we're joined by someone who's mastered the messy part of leadership, the part where most managers dread people. After 33 years of leading teams across Canadian public service, Earl Hoeg has now run People First, where they reduce turnover and unlock ROI using their insights discovery system. The same system that's behind documented 2063% return at Indeed. Earl, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Jay. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. The pleasure's all mine. Earl, let's kick things off. You spent 33 years leading teams inside of Canadian federal public service. What part of that experience shaped your leadership philosophy the most?
So, Jay, I think that for me as a leader in the federal public service, I really had an opportunity to see lots of different systems and tools that were out there that were intended really to get teams through that storming, norming to performing phase so much more quickly. And one of the one system that I knew that I wanted to be associated with when I went out on my own, I often say I haven't retired. I'm not in retirement. I'm in preferment. And so I now get to do what I prefer, and that's helping other managers increase connection and trust across their teams. And that one system was the insights discovery system that you mentioned in my intro.
Right. Yeah. And you've led everything from border services to wireless regulation to corporate real estate. What thread ties all of that leadership together?
It all comes back to people. As leaders, we really deliver results through other people. That's really the key. And the key to delivering results through others is making sure that you have that connection, that you're connected with your team. A mentor of mine, Jay, back early on in my career, shared a quote with me that really shaped my leadership philosophy. And it was, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And just that one quote about me getting out of my own head and remembering it's not about me, it's about the people that are really doing all the work. And so it starts with caring. And once we have that care and enough curiosity to start to learn a little bit about the team members that we're leading or our colleagues that we're working with, that's really where the power comes from in terms of being able to deliver results.
Absolutely. It's people that drive companies, people that drive movements. It's not an idea, it's not a tool, it's the people.
Exactly.
So, Earl, you mentioned something when we first chatted that you were an entrepreneur trapped in a public servant's body. What moment made you realize you had to finally build something of your own?
I think that I was always an entrepreneur. I don't know if there was really a moment. I think it was more about I had to go through a journey to kind of get there. The reason why I think that quote is true is when I started looking back at my life. I was 8 years old and I'm dragging a little red wagon down a rural highway in rural Nova Scotia selling pop and chips at a cattle auction because I saw an opportunity. And I think when I look at my career as a public servant, I had an opportunity to really be an intrapreneur. I got to really build programs and deliver something that hadn't been delivered before. And so it's been a journey of finding out what is the problem that needs to be solved and figuring out if I have a solution that I can bring to solve that. And the problem that I'm solving for teams now is really how to increase connection across the organization so they can deliver stellar results.
Right. Yeah. And also that goes back to the people first concept because you yourself, you're the person that's driving your organization. You had to go through your own internal journey as well. So let's take a little pivot. Let's walk us through the insights discovery system. What makes that different from just another personality test or another workplace assessment?
So for people that maybe haven't heard of insights discovery, they probably have heard of DISC or Myers-Briggs. So those are the other big systems out there that they all do some good in terms of increasing and creating that spark of awareness so we get an increased understanding of ourselves. But where I think insights is head and shoulders above those other systems is that they're like seeing life in black and white, and insights is high definition color. It really is about not being a one and done profile. It really is a program. And so Insights is for color energies. We talk about it in terms of it's fiery red, it's results driven, shared purpose and accountability. It's sunshine yellow, which is about flexibility, collaboration, agility. It's earth green, which is trust and cohesion. It's the foundation of teams. And cool blue, it's about details, it's about systems and methodology. And so it really is a program as well as personality preferences. So individuals get a very detailed profile. It's unique to them, but we can boil it down into those four color energies. So it's easy to remember, it's enduring. And when you look at it in terms of a framework or a system for running a business, you can see that there's value to all of those, that we couldn't operate as a team if we didn't have members of our team that were leading with each of those four color energies. Uh, for me, yeah, it's night and day between Insights Discovery and some of those other systems that are out there.
I love how you illustrated that. And for anyone that's listening and not watching, Earl put up some visual aids for us. But that's really interesting because I'm a fan of these sort of things. I've done them myself, the Myers-Briggs, the Clifton Strengths, all of them. And I've always thought this is a snapshot in time where I may be feeling one way and I might be answering questions, the assessment in a certain way, but in a different way where I'm in a different situation or a different setting, I may respond differently. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this being a program? It seems like it's gonna be dynamic, and you're gonna be switching through the different modalities.
We do accept that our personality preferences change over time. So we're not saying that your personality is fixed at birth and that it's static. It does change. And but generally we'll have a preference for how we show up. And that is going to vary based on the situation and the relationship. But generally there's two or three of those color energies that I shared with you that are more easily accessible to us than the others. And so I'll use myself as an example. Over my career, I've been certified in the Insight system since 2009. My first preferred color energy is sunshine yellow. It's enthusiasm, it's outgoing, it's an extroverted energy, and it's about fun. And the summary that we use for it is involve me. That's like that. I've always had that as my first preferred. My second and third have rotated depending upon the role I was in, what was expected of me. Currently, it's fiery red. I want to be Canada's largest insights discovery distributor. I've got that competitive. I want to build something. I want to build the biggest and the best offering of the insights system. But then my third currently is Earth Green, which is it's about people. My company is people first. I want to put people first. It is very much at my core. And in some roles, that was my second. And I think if I wasn't so focused on building a business and building a brand right now, that maybe Earth Green would be kind of taking over. But now it's like, no, I'm building something new and I want to, so the fiery red is kind of bumped up. My least preferred is cool blue, which is a detailed focus. And anyone that's known me throughout all of my life would likely say that that has not changed, that I am not a detail person. If you want, detail and process, I'm probably not. I can do it. We all can access all four color energies, but that's probably not going to be an area that I will ever be super strong in. So there are changes over time, but generally kind of our most and our least are going to stay constant. And but depending upon the relationship and the situation, when I'm acting as a coach, Jay, my earth green, that's at the top. Okay. Like I've learned how to turn down my extroverted energy and just be there and to be quiet and listen and ask more questions than talk like I'm doing on today's show.
Yeah, and as you say that, I'm thinking like I do the same thing. I feel like I would be very yellow for most of the time, and I can see different situations where I would fall into the reds, like when I'm training jujitsu and I'm doing the combat sports stuff. I mean, you have to be super red in a setting like that. And then I'm thinking about with my team as well. My team, I'm like, what is it that you need? How can I help you? Yeah. Essentially, I'm in full agreement. I think like we all switch. We're very dynamic and we can tap into these different strengths that we have. Okay, so what story best illustrates the impact that this system has had on a team or organization?
So I think it'd be hard to kind of nail down just one example, but what I love about facilitating a workshop is just those aha moments that people have. And so I'll use one from a few weeks ago where it was with a chief. So we're doing the profile sharing where people are kind of saying, these are my communication do's and my communication don'ts, and they're sharing those with a colleague in the room. And it was with the deputy CFO of an organization and one of his clients. And so his client was, I just heard her like across the room. She was like, my God, it must drive you crazy then when I just show up in your office with all of my questions and everything disorganized. And he leads with Cool Blue and he just wanted to have all the questions in advance and he wanted to make sure he was providing thorough response. And so it's those little sparks of that recognition of the differences of how others want information and how they want to ask questions that then just creates that appreciation and the value across the teams.
Yeah, you did mention too that for many people that their first profile debrief becomes almost a career changing moment. That sounds like one situation where not a career changing, but at least how she probably behaves when she's with her leadership.
Yeah, what we find is it gives people a language they can use that describes them. Another powerful example you just made me think of had a client that wouldn't disclose a diagnosis of autism in their workplace, but they felt that their profile gave them the descriptors that they could share with their colleagues using a positive, respectful language to say, hey, this is what I need to allow me to bring my best self to the job. And they didn't have to disclose anything that they weren't comfortable disclosing. And so it was just like, wow, this was pretty cool for me. That was a pretty powerful experience to be able to have given a language that they recognize, and then that's going to allow them to be more contributing and feel seen and heard and understood in the organization as a pretty cool moment.
Yeah, I had a guest on recently where he did do a lot of work with neurodivergent teammates, including autism, dyslexia, dyscalculia, which I have dyscalculia, which he was the one that helped me realize I had it. But we're talking right now about these revelations, these breakthroughs that people are having. Let's go on the opposite side of that. What's one of the messier situations, one of the messier leadership challenges you walked into, and how did you help fix that?
I think I've been really fortunate in terms of the teams that are bringing us in. They're already focusing on how to put their people first. So I think what I would share maybe is an example from my own experience as a leader where things got messy. I can say I'm pretty blessed these days. Get to work with the clients that I want to work with, and as a leader in an organization, that's not always the case. The messiest situation I can think of, Jay, as a when I was a leader, and I was a frontline supervisor, and I was actually, I was leading a team where it was an organization that no one else wanted to work. Like they had three different supervisors in this role in the course of about 6 months, and I was looking to cut my teeth as a new supervisor. So I was like, oh, I'll take on that challenge and threw my name in the hat. And so it was already a pretty tough work environment. So much so people were issuing death threats against each other almost. Like it was so bad. It was not just toxic, but it was terrible. And I attempted to use a system. I used Myers-Briggs to try and increase the awareness. I thought, okay, help people understand themselves. And what ended up happening was it just gave people a new language to weaponize against each other to explain like why the other person was whatever word you want to use, a jerk. I'll use as a kinder word. You don't have to bleep me out if I use the other word. But it just gave them a language that they could use to weaponize each other and put people into boxes. And that's not what we want. We don't want to put labels on people. And so it's really about building that appreciation and that understanding and creating a shared language of the differences and realizing that you see the world differently than I do, and we can both look at the same thing and we can both be right. But then how do we get to a shared understanding of that? And how do we have the language and the trust to be able to start that conversation? It wasn't the system per se, it was just the way it was delivered. And if it's not delivered in a way for the appreciation of all of those preferences and those differences, then it can go the other way quickly.
Yeah, I myself, I'd taken the Clifton Strengths and I actually had a coach help me. How can I shape my life based off of my strengths so that life feels a little bit easier? But yeah, you did also quote something really cool statistic that I want to touch on, and I think people should know this. Turnover costs between 1.5 to 4x somebody's salary. So for skeptical leaders, outside of that by itself, which it should be, should be people should be aware of that. What finally opens up their mind to the people first approach? Now, I know too that you did say that you are working with people who already have that focus, but maybe for those that don't have that focus, in your experience, maybe you can share what finally gets them to start thinking about people.
Well, I think if you again just put it in the terms of the bottom line, your people are delivering, they're there to deliver the results for the organization. So organizations exist to deliver a certain quality and quantity of results given a certain amount of time and resources. That's why we exist as an organization. Your most important asset to delivering those results is through your people. And so even if we don't quantify it in terms of turnover, like just think about how much time and energy is wasted with misunderstanding and miscommunication across your teams. Like the simple loss of productivity there that's hitting your bottom line is why we want to create a system that creates that shared language, that understanding. When trust is high in an organization, that's when productivity is proven to be higher. That's when stress is lower. And that's what delivers results. So even if you don't, or even if a leader isn't a people first leader at their core, then do it because it's good for the bottom line, because it really is. You put your people first and results follow.
Yeah, and it's not a problem until it's a big problem, right? It's just like what we take for our health. We take our health for granted. We're not doing the right things we need to be doing. And then all of a sudden we have a problem when we have a real problem,
Yeah.
right? So that sounds like, yeah, definitely someone that's just hard charging. They're only going to see it when it's like, hey, something's missing here. We're losing people. At that point, it's reactive instead of preventative. Earl, with demand growing, what bottlenecks do you feel in scaling people first?
So I think that it's really about encouraging. I think with the new ways of working with hybrid working, I think that that's really where I'm seeing kind of the opportunity for us to play a bigger role. So it's about increasing connection in the workplace when some people are at home and some people are in the office, and how do we bridge that connection there about being more intentional about our presence and our time in the office, increasing that connection through appropriate ways to run hybrid meetings. And so I think for people first, my approach to helping us scale is really looking at helping those teams make hybrid human, and I think that will help us grow.
Right. And you've also had a lot of referrals from people who experience the insights. What do you feel like is the missing link from driving something a little bit more predictable?
Well, I mean, I think it's about, well, I'll use my system for building the business. It might not come as a surprise that I've painted it in the four insights, color, energies. So it's really for me, it's about fiery red is producing. Like if you want repeat sales, you need to deliver good value and prove yourself. So it really is serving, it's delivering, living up to the claims, adding more value than what I take. So I call it mind your P's and Q's. All the P's are painted in the four insights, color, energy. So it's producing. Then it's promoting. I think that really promoting is stages and microphones. I'm building a speaking business really to help drive interest to my people development business. And it's also publishing, and it's about stages and microphones like this one here today, about getting the word and the messaging out. I started my entrepreneurial journey at 55. I don't plan on being all things to all people. I want to partner with other like-minded organizations that have another piece of the workplace puzzle that they're solving. So I can say, I don't do that, but I know someone who does. And the last P is processing, and that's the cool blue. That's about making sure I have systems and processes in place that are repeatable, that I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time, that I have good automations, that I've got consistent processes that the organization can grow without me, that it's not about me, but it's about how do we, how can we repeat this, and how can we have a bigger impact in serving more clients because we have good processes in place. That's my approach. We'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, definitely. And as long as you're hitting your target, 3 podcasts a month, inevitable result. As long as you do the process, you do it long enough, the results take care of themselves. So, Earl, where can leaders go to possibly experience a profile, an insights profile, or possibly even go to one of your workshops for themselves?
So our website is peoplefirst.ca. That's we're here in Canada. That's not California. So peoplefirst.ca is our website, and then get information. We hold open workshops on a regular basis. But Jay, if your listeners just want to connect with me on LinkedIn, if they are a leader in an organization and there's an opportunity, if they want to test drive the system, I'll give them a code that they can use to get access to one of those profiles. That's normally $400 for one of our open workshops. They can get access to that free. Just send me a DM, and most likely they'll qualify for a complimentary profile for themselves and another member of their leadership team to help them in making that decision making. Because I think that is the best way to experience and understand the power that this could have, is to experience it, to get your detailed profile, see how well it describes you, and yeah, be happy to do that.
Outstanding. Thank you so much for your generosity, Earl. Okay, well, this is a fascinating conversation for me, someone who's very interested in finding out more about the most important person in my life, which is myself. That sounds like a selfish thing, but it's actually selfless, because in order for me to serve, I need to fill up my cup so I can fill up everyone else's. So, Earl, I really appreciate your insights here. It sounds like I know we can riff off, but I want to be respectful to your time. So if you want an assessment, Earl very generously offered to share his system with you. Reach out to him on LinkedIn. You have his website. And if you like more stories like this, if you want to hear more from other leaders pushing the envelope for growth, be sure to tune in for more. My name is Jay. Thanks so much. We'll talk again soon.